Final ending to Get It Moving, Part 1 down below. A week later, I've realized I've been making a big mistake. I've let her keep me pursuing her even though it's just about the kids and trying to get things sorted. I can't help how she treats the kids. It's her relationship with them she's breaking, and she's no longer my responsibility. Something broke in me this week, and I literally don't care about her anymore. I don't care if she comes back begging for forgiveness or hates me. That is no longer my concern. I'm taking steps to take my house back, not to hurt her or for revenge, but because it's my house and the children's home. I've stopped reaching out even for the kids' needs. Goes relatively unanswered anyway. My friend said to me today, "You're like a puppy whose master keeps kicking him but he keeps coming back. Don't be a puppy." She also said that while I'm being nice it helps her feel better about herself. By continually hurting me it keeps me trying more and it makes her feel like she hasn't lost me. She said I'm the common enemy between her and the AP. Without me there's just boredom. Well, I've just been pushed too far now. I never expected to find myself feeling this way so quickly. Yes, it still hurts, but I find myself feeling pretty nonchalant about it all. Taking the house back just seems like a business transaction and the right and proper thing to do. I've just hit send on the final confirmation to get the house back. I just have to hope now that it can be taken care of quickly. I can't believe how much has happened in the 5 weeks since I found out. It's strange as I really like my new place, and if I'm successful it will be hard going back as it feels tainted, but it's the kids' rightful home. But I intend to redecorate and make some adjustments and turn it into the home it used to be. If I'm not successful, then at least I can say I tried my best to do what's right. I still can't believe the emptiness I have in my heart for her. Not even hate or anger is there now. A funny story that happened last night. So, I went out for a drink with a friend. She invited a new girl that is due to start working for her in the new year. We had a good night with the new girl telling us about her new baby and how great her fiancé is. So, my friend leaves and I get up to leave. The new girl says, "Can you wait till I finish this and walk me to the tram stop?" So I say, "Yeah, no worries." We get outside and she says, "Let's have another drink, you seem like you need it." So I say, "Okay." On the way into the new place, she asks how well I know her new employers. I say not that well, but we're all friends. She says, "Well, this can be our secret night then." Anyhow, we're inside and the following conversation ensued. Her, "I want to X you." Me, "You're engaged with a baby at home." I'm a nice guy, I don't do things like that. Her, "I'm with him every day." Me, "Sorry, I'm a nice guy, you'll regret it in the morning." Her, "No, you're not and I'll show you." An hour later, after her dancing all over me and telling lies to her fiancé on the phone about no cabs and not wanting to be the first to leave, she says, "Bloody hell, you really are a nice guy." Me, "Yup, now go home to your baby and fiancé. Maybe next time it won't be a nice guy." I paid for her taxi and sent her on her way. I was pretty shocked. I hope she woke up this morning and gave her fiancé a big hug. You might ask why I didn't just leave straight away. To be honest, I don't know, but having my integrity challenged and choosing the right way to go showed me that those that cheat have to make the moral choice to do wrong. And in that moment when we walked into the new pub, my choice was already set in my mind. I felt safe in the knowledge that I would always make the right choice. It's just a part of me. I wonder if cheaters always lack this integrity and the affairs are a symptom of this. Well, couldn't have been a better Christmas day, really. Had a great time with the kids for the last few days, and when the STBXW turned up I went out to her car, told her exactly what I thought of her, and then informed her the house is now legally mine again. I said we can discuss it in mediation. Oh, the look on her face. As the kids came out and got in, I said, "Oh, and Merry Christmas." She replied with a muttered, barely audible Merry Christmas. I think the penny has finally dropped that I just don't give a crap anymore about her. She even cried and I felt absolutely nothing. I even have a date in the new year with a stunning younger woman that I know from when I was a kid. Didn't think I stood a chance, but she's really keen. Just shows what the years of following my STBXW around like a puppy can do to a man's confidence. I actually feel free and empowered. So, my son lasted 6 hours there on Christmas Day before she threw him out, so he came back to mine. He's 11. She had the OM there all day, and tomorrow we're due to have his kids over to unwrap a load of presents. Apparently, this is cancelled now. It all started cause my daughter didn't want to watch TV without me. I'm guessing the OM might be starting to see what type of mother she actually is. The kids have known about the for 5 weeks, not sure how she expected them to react. Their days are numbered now. She can see I don't care about her anymore and she can't control me now. So, she hasn't got a clue what I'm thinking. Yesterday I said I couldn't care if you walked off a cliff and died. Apparently, she told the kids I said I hope you fall off a cliff and she was upset about it. She shouldn't be telling them stuff like that anyway. She's said much worse to me in the past right in front of them. Well, she collected my son this morning at 9 a.m. He was back again by 12 as he ran away. Apparently, the OM said he doesn't want to go round today because of my son, so they were sitting watching TV when she made them both power their phones down and started to blame them for him not coming round, then read a load of new rules to them. So, he took off after another argument. She's absolutely nuts. Also agree with the point on not talking to her. I'm sending through the kids' schedule for January, and then that should be the last time as I'm printing it off for the kids so they always know where they are. Not talking to her just meant send an email with the kids' schedule. Trying to organize anything online would be pointless, as she'll never see it through. This way I can print it out for the kids and they can carry it with them so they don't have to rely on her to remember anything. So, my STBXW has shunned mediation, didn't even bother to reply to the mediator. So, I have a form to send to the courts to inform them of this, and I've instructed my solicitor to start divorce proceedings on Tuesday and send a letter giving her notice to vacate my house. I've also stopped paying her loan installments as we agreed that before I discovered the depression and anger seemed to be setting in a bit. I can't sleep for feeling angry about what her and her AP have done to our family. He's pretty much there every day now. His W has taken their daughter out of my STBXW's nursery care now, so looks like she's woke up. I told my kids we'll be moving back in and they've said it's not home anymore and want to stay here. I have to consider their feelings, but to be honest, I think once I redecorate and move things around and burn my bloody bed it'll feel like home again. So, when she found out as the adulterer, she is liable for the court costs. She called the mediator and set up an appointment. So, this is going to be interesting. I'm at a loss what to do with the house. I don't see why she should have it just to use as a nursery to finance her new life with him, but my kids really like it here. I spoke to his wife yesterday on the phone. Initially she didn't want to talk, but we ended up chatting for half an hour. She's moved out into a new house. She's trying to forget it all and move on with her life. I said that's easy to do, but he's living with my kids and I have no idea who he is. That was my reason for calling, to try and understand how he is with kids. She said there's nothing to worry about there. I don't think so. He obviously has no morals and values, and apparently he's a Christian with deep faith. So, it was my daughter's 10th birthday yesterday. She had them from 7 p.m. overnight. So, did she spend time with her daughter on her 10th birthday? Nope. She took them to dog racing with him and his kids, said it was a surprise for everybody. Bloody dog racing. I realize that things like this are going to keep happening, but I need to rise above it and make up on my side for what they're missing out on. She's going to crash big time. My daughter told me today that my STBXW sat her down last night and asked her why she doesn't like the AP, then said if you don't tell me we can't fix it. My daughter stayed silent and said she doesn't know, she just doesn't. Why she had to do this on her 10th birthday I have no idea. I'm sure it's not hard to figure out. He's where her daddy should be. Doesn't take 2 brain cells to figure that out. Also, she was upset after school because she didn't like the dog racing. She thought it was cruel. I already knew this as she's mentioned it before. I suspect her mom knew too but chose not to remember. The whole thing's just a crap show really. What's crazy is through all this, I really miss being a family, but I need to keep my emotions in check to ensure I keep doing the right things for me and the kids. I found out the AP's W spoke to my wife after I spoke to her on the phone, or she spoke to her H, not sure, but anyhow what I said got back to her. This might be why she had the chat with my daughter, not sure. I told the AP's wife, then told my W she had to tell her parents and always tell the truth if asked. I exposed the which kind of backfired as it took it out of secrecy, and seems to make them think they can just carry on in front of everyone, although I think he may be there less during the day now. After I told the neighbors, we spoke on the phone and she said I don't know who you are anymore. I said you are kidding me, you've destroyed our family. To which she replied no, you destroyed our family. I wrote you a letter but it's in the bin now. I still don't know what was in that letter. Maybe an apology or her trying for reconciliation, I'm unsure. I often think about how great it would be to be a family again, but then I remember the awful lies she told me and the way she treats us when I was unaware of the and I just don't think I could get past that. I have a letter to read out to her in mediation. It's a burning bridges letter. It's meant to ensure that when the blows up, she understands there is no way back to me. It's going to be so hard to read it out, and I of course still love her, but I can't move forward in my life with her as part of it. Well, things are going from bad to worse. Child services now seem to be on her side completely. The social worker stated that I have been sharing too much with the children and is thinking about supervised access for me, and then stated I am being vindictive in taking my house back. I explained that this is none of her business and said I'm making a complaint against her as she is clearly biased. I lost it a bit with her and sent her a very blunt text to that effect. I've spoken to Families Need Fathers and they have said that it sounds like I'm right, so I should pursue it. The SS worker even asked my wife if she wanted to reduce my contact and she said no, she doesn't want it and it's not needed. I've requested she come and see me and answer all my questions regarding her biased approach, and there is quite a lot, to be honest. Just when you think you've heard it all, there's more. So, long day as my son jumped out of my STBXW car as it was moving and ran to my house. She didn't even bother texting him for an hour. He's 11. Anyhow, on from that she came to drop off my daughter and I was moving the snow off my drive. I went over to ask her for my son's school bag. Lots of tears about having no money and can't pay bills and kids won't listen to her, etc. My response was, well, that's the consequences. There's more. So, my daughter says today that they've been staying over at the AP's new house with all his kids. My son is sleeping on a mattress and she's in a bunk bed with one of his other kids. What the hell? She sobbed in the car today. I told her that she's taken things too fast, that the kids are suffering. I didn't know about them staying over at that point. But the best part of all this is that when my son arrived this morning, I knew it had to be something bad like usual, so I hit record on my phone. He laid it all out for me. She hit him in his face the night before. She dragged him down the stairs and threw him in the car. I said, "Mom keeps hurting you, but you lie to child services." "Why?" He said, "Because I don't want them to take me away from Mummy." I'm finally vindicated. Child services think I make it all up cause he denies it when they ask him. Next time they visit me, if they ever do, as they seem to only visit her, I'll pop my phone on the table and hit play. I'll then sit back and wait for the apologies to rain down. I literally cried when I got it on tape of what she does to him. I've had to sit here knowing it's happening and they don't believe me. I warned her today to stop losing it with my son. She is responsible for his behavior when he is with her. Here we never even have a crossed word. My kids and I have a very friendly relationship, but they know the boundaries and they show me respect, which I return to them. I treat them as equals with patience and love, not as an inconvenience. Well, an interesting day. I had a meeting with child services. Yesterday I passed a parent at the school that was quite implicit in covering for my STBXW. She said hi, I said X off. So, my STBXW reporter it to child services. At that moment I said yes, I did say that, took out my phone and played them back the recording of my son telling me how she hurts him and that he doesn't want to speak to them in case they stop him seeing his mom. What followed were apologies, but then a statement to say they didn't think I was telling lies. Okay, so, they said they won't be back in contact with me. They have no further concerns about me, but they'll be sending their mom on a course to understand how to better parent and not resort to physically handling him. That'll look good for her as a childminder, won't it? I said when this fantasy ends, she'll realize what she's done. They said we think she's already realized that. I think where she is at the moment is that she knows she's messed up. She knows there is no way back to me, so can only try and move forward with the AP. But that'll never work cause the kids do not want to live with him. I bumped into another parent tonight, and it seems she is telling everyone the truth. She isn't hiding that she has had an affair, but for everyone she tells she loses another friend. I think she's looking for someone to say, oh, that's the right thing to do. Instead, they are aligning with me without me even speaking to them. She asked me to take my kids out with them next Sunday, commented on my weight loss, said she only knew it was me because of my daughter. I've known her for ages. Everyone she shared it with don't want to know. They all know me and know I'm a nice guy and a great dad. They know her really well and me much less, but still see the terrible things she has done. I just don't see how she cannot see how terrible it is. A month later, same old stuff really. STBXW continues to make the kids' life absolute hell on earth. My 10-year-old D caught her in bed with OM, whose bedroom, my flipping daughter's son is an emotional wreck, as is my daughter, but hey, affairs are normal, right, as she so gracefully put it. You can probably tell I'm slightly further forward now. I just have nothing there for her anymore, not even hate really, just looking forward to the day my kids are old enough so I don't have to send the schedule every month and have anything to do with her. As for me, well, to be quite honest, my life is pretty fantastic regarding just myself and putting the kids' issues to one side. I was using some dating apps, and in a surprise coincidence my ex-girlfriend from 20 years ago swiped me. Now from memory it didn't end well on her part really, but we were about 15, so just kids really. We haven't seen or heard from each other in 20 years. Anyhow, we met up back in my hometown, which is pretty far away. I didn't expect much, but it was pretty amazing. She's changed a lot. Not my usually type anymore, but we had an instant connection. It was actually awkward being awkward. We spent the night together and she admitted to loving me this whole time, even throughout her own 12-year marriage. We live far apart and both have responsibilities, but are continuing to see each other when we can, which isn't a lot. But we speak every day and are growing very close, just sort of feels right. What I can say is I felt more love from her in one night than I've felt in the last 10 years, maybe more. I realize now what it's supposed to feel like. Well, I don't think she meant she pined for me, lol. But rather I was her first love, and I guess as childhood sweethearts a connection is built that hangs around. Her marriage was awful. She was married to a bully who abused her in many ways. Again, two sides to every story, and all that I am not stupid. But I would say his 5-year suspended sentence, an injunction, kind of speaks for itself. She's been out of the marriage and divorced for a while. Also, I guess sometimes it takes being treated like crap to realize what you had in the past. And she actually said she thinks she never stopped loving me, but it wasn't until we saw each other again that it all came back. I found myself feeling like I did too, which was a big shock, and I loved my wife enough to put up with her selfish, unloving crap for years. The kind of love I had for my wife was very deep from years of living together and raising our children. It can't just be replaced in a flick of a switch. But I realize now that I was always the giver in our R, and that's something I will never settle for again. There is simply nothing I can do. I have tried and tried with child services, and they simply say, he is her new partner now, it's happening, and everyone need to get used to it. Okay, I could go outside of the legal system, and what will that accomplish? Last time I tried that she had me arrested. I am all the kids have, and they need me. I won't jeopardize that. We live in the middle of an area where 3,000 young girls were groomed by Islamic gangs. The newspapers and authorities are just not interested. I've considered emailing her to ask her to stop being a bloody selfish prick, but to what end? Anything I say she will rebel against. As for family, she has none. They've abandoned her, as has every other friend since this all came out. We have a joint mediation meeting coming up next month. I'll be informing her we'll be moving back in on the 1st of May. I have a peaceful eviction team ready to go to make it happen. Now, I'm actually torn on what to do with the house. I'm settled here and so are the kids, so I'm considering using this as a bargaining chip. I'll say you can keep the house, but I get a clean break from this in every respect and never look back. Once my kids are slightly older, I'll be moving us to the city center away from this place depending on which further education track they choose anyway, and that's only if they want to, of course. I would say though that if she continues to act in this way, then I'll kick her out and she can go live with him full time. She does anyway when the kids aren't there. I'm also considering reducing her days back down, as she obviously can't handle to be apart from the OM, although, to be honest, sounds like she's clinging on by a thread to the fantasy. The only way to get through it is to keep moving forward at every turn. I met someone recently whose W was in the bar with him and was sleeping with every other guy there. They still share a bed and she is open she will leave him eventually when she finds the right person. I told him she is disrespecting you being here. He said he still loves her, and how the hell am I so bloody happy? I told him, my friend, you are in love with the women you thought she was, and you are mourning the loss of what could never be. Now go dance with those women over there. I am truly thankful that my W's pedestal that I placed her on has fallen. My ex from 20 years ago described me in one sentence: incredibly funny and incredibly serious at the same time before we met back up. Well, my humor had disappeared and my W complained I was always different around other people. Yes, dear, because you told me I wasn't funny and it was embarrassing. No, I think I just took the light off you which you so desperately craved. In the night I spent with my long-lost ex, we laughed so hard we couldn't breathe, and it's the same with any other group I'm with. I went to see my old godfather. He simply said, "You're back, I missed you. I don't get to the States much, but if I do, I'll certainly take you up on that." I simply said I realize it's pointless communicating with her, but when our D is talking about not wanting her life anymore, I have no choice. I told her she's broken her promise to her little girl not to have him overnight anymore. I pointed out too that my S has been breaking down begging me to fix everything. I told her it is unfair on me to have to deal with these issues when it is so easy for her to fix them her end by giving them the love they need. I was a bit harsh in that I said the reality is she's screwing the guy who destroyed their lives right next to them. I ended by saying as the kids age, they'll judge us on our actions when they needed us most, and that I sleep soundly knowing I love them selflessly. I'll not get a response. I'm sure she will either have thrown an anger fit or cried and sobbed when she received it. Either way, she'll now just tell my D that she's lonely and he's all she's got. Last time she said that my kids came home crying asking why they weren't enough for her when they're there. It's a shame that he has completely isolated her from her family and friends. He did this by being rude to them and setting expectations that A's are normal and everyone will be fine with it. He's given her freedom in the form of being able to hang about with guys all the time without worrying what I will think. Difference is we were married and the line got crossed so many times that it was difficult to handle. Funny thing is she's told him she's a tomboy and likes to be around guys. Wow, well, we were together since we were 16 and I don't remember that at all. I met all her childhood friends and there weren't many boys at all. One day she will look at him and see a man who has shown no care for her children, has stolen their innocence, and wrecked a family. It takes two without a doubt, and it's on her. It was her that swore her vow to me, and they are her children. But when that time comes it will be too late to undo the damage she has done. I bumped into her assistant the other day in a local shop. She said she doesn't talk to her anymore or tell her anything. It's just works now and she hates seeing what she's doing to the kids. I know my W well. She will pursue this course of action until the bitter end to prove herself right and that it was all worth it. Only time will tell what happens, and while that's happening, I just need to give the children my full support. So, it's been a while again. Things were going pretty well for me personally. I had no contact with her at all except the odd email here and there. Then day after Mother's Day I got a text that I hadn't received from Mother's Day night. It said, "Are you home? I think your son needs to send him back to you." I text back and asked why. She said doesn't matter now. When the kids arrived back as normal, I found out the AP had grabbed him by his shoulders and my S punched him in the face. AP said do that again, so he did. Then AP followed him around the house, not letting him leave the room, all while my D is shouting leave my brother alone and my STBXW is shouting at the AP to not get angry. I sent an email asking her to explain before I decide what to do next. Instead of replying, she called me and talked forever about it all being a misunderstanding, and then apologized for hitting my son over the head with a book the same night. I lost it on her on the phone. She said, "Why are you speaking to me like this?" I said I went into my home to get my stuff. She said, "I don't trust you." Well, I told her to go screw herself and hung up. I text to say don't call me again. Later I emailed to say I'll let her deal with the issue, but she must keep him away from my kids while she sorts this out, otherwise I'll intervene. The next Monday she tells my kids they'll never see him again and they're finished. Next day she tells them he's back and why don't they like him and that daddy isn't nice and he is and it's all my fault. Same week my kids are there, my son is woken up by arguing and the AP leaves in a taxi. Next time my kids were there, my son ran away and stayed with me for 10 days and refused to talk to her. I'd emailed before all this to ask if she wanted the kids for 2 hours on her birthday. I got a reply the day before to say that would be great. She turned up with the AP in his car, but only my daughter would go. I didn't realize until after they left. I emailed and said, do not bring that man to my house again. Later that week we had our first joint mediation meeting. She refused to be in the same room as me, made some ridiculous demands, and I left feeling frustrated. Fast forward to 2 weeks ago, I broke my leg in 3 places, so I had no choice but to text her from the hospital to make sure she could get the kids to their activities. She took my son and then texted me back saying if he ever speaks to her that way again, he can find his own way. I replied saying I think it's best she discusses that with him and checks she's okay for their set activities. Her response was if I'm not busy, which I am. Then when my son got home, he said his mom said I should learn to take a bus. I lost it big time. I sent her a scathing text and then posted it to Facebook for all to see who she really is. Next day I deleted it, regretted doing it and even sending the text in the first place. My son comes home from his mom's and says she showed him some of the text to show how mean I am to her. Daughter comes home and says Mummy said tell Daddy she's blocked you on all communication, phone, email, everything. She then made vague promises to the kids for their activities on certain days. Poor kids had no idea where they were supposed to be. All my fault, of course, for losing my cool, but still, it's about me and her and didn't need to involve the kids. I emailed anyway to say the kids haven't got a clue what's going on with their activities. No response. A couple days later the family worker comes to see me, which was prearranged. I told her I lost it and sent a mean text, although all true, and now she's refusing to communicate for the kids. She said she would have a word. Same day the family worker sees STBXW, she fails to collect the kids from their activity and sends a friend to be with her other friend, who that same day was given a 2-year suspended sentence for viewing indecent images of children. And after being told by the family worker to stop communicating through the kids, she tells my kids to tell me I owe her money from an incorrect Amazon order at Christmas. Next day her AP posts a picture of them as his profile pic on Facebook. I only know as I went into my blocked list to add more of her friends. I blocked her ages ago, and anyone else she knows. Hit me really hard seeing them together all smiley and happy while her children are suffering. So, I've decided to just stop communicating altogether too. I've made sure the kids understand when they're at their mums from school. I'm using taxis to get them to their activities and told them not to ask them their mom. They're tired of being let down and being caught in the middle all the time. When will this nightmare end? I feel really bad for posting to Facebook. I've ever given any hint on social media of anything wrong. I don't air my laundry in public and feel I really let myself and my kids down. Also, sending the text in the first place. Up until then all the crap she said about me being crazy had no backing whatsoever. Now she can say look, he's mental. I also know she's been telling people I was abusive and controlling. I just can't believe it. Feeling the worst I've felt in a long time, being held up in a village with no family or friends here looking after the kids, working from home with my broken leg and still having her crap to deal with. Had a bit of a win today. Family worker came out to see me, seems to understand what I've been through. We now have to CC him in on all email communication so he can hold her accountable. He's also said that despite social services saying they can't intervene in her having the kids around someone with recently convicted of viewing indecent images of children, he will be advising her strongly to cease contact as the guy plead guilty. And who would plead guilty of such an offense if they were truly innocent? And although she believes he is innocent and it is her right to decide who is around the children, it doesn't look good for her. Just to be clear, this guy isn't the AP, it's another bloke she takes the kids walking and climbing with. And while I have always liked him, obviously the 2-year suspended sentence is there for a reason. He's also said that it's clear all the drama in the children's lives is coming from her inability to properly parent them and put them first. So, then my son comes home from school. The child worker went to see him today. He filled out a form about life with me and has to do one for his mum next week. I have a copy of the blank form. Son said I've ticked all good for here. I'll be doing mum's next week. That will all be bad. My daughter I'm sure will try to be equal as she's pretty emphatic like I am and won't want to upset me or her mum. I feel these new people involved are getting a proper picture of how things are, and it's really refreshing, as so far being a man I've only ever been told to put my big boy pants on and to get used to the new man in her life because he isn't going anywhere and the kids will get used to it. The actual word said to me 2 weeks after finding out about the affair and him moving in. Also, the child worker agrees with my telling my son that if he's put in a situation he doesn't like, such as being at the AP's house, then he should call me to be collected. Now our communication is being monitored. I can finally show how much she doesn't care. She might respond now, but actions say everything. And the karma keeps coming. So, her assistant, the one she treats like a slave and actually did all the work in her nursery while she was out having her affair, has quit with no notice. She lined up a job and just left. As a result, my STBX tried to replace her, but she failed to see that while she had her assistant doing all the school runs, she was telling everyone who she is and what she's done to me and the kids. Lo and behold, no one wants to work for her. She's had to let half the children go. I can imagine her now, middle of the day, screaming babies all around and no one there to dump them on while she takes off. So, who's her new assistant on those times she really needs one? The AP. More karma. My son told me her AP keeps taking the iPhone charger into his room, so my son says, "Why you taking the charger? You've got an Android." "I just need it," he says. And I wonder why. Second phone maybe. And a little more. My son says to his mom, "You're not telling me there's just you, his wife and his ex-wife," to which my STBX replies, "No, there's been 6 of us." Aha, oh dear. She's still bursting into tears at the slightest things too. She will now have to do the school runs and face all the people in the playground 4 times per day. I've done it every day and had the looks and the whispers when I collect my daughter from school. So, I was on my way out on a date last night when the AP drive past me. I laughed because he's just old. She was in her car right behind him. Still don't know why they have to drive past my house. Plenty of other ways to go. She looked away pretending she hadn't seen me. I'm starting to wonder. I've heard of the 3 stages of limerence, something I read up on when I was still being a walkover in the beginning. I read that a sudden consequence can snap people out of these type of affairs. Recently her assistant walked out with no notice. When she was still working for her, she did everything. Opened up each morning while she was with the AP, looked after the minded kids all day and the screaming babies while my STBX just took off to see the AP. Part of our marriage issues was that our house was not a home. It was just a workplace. She was fed up with being stuck in all the time and it built up over time. We were actually trying to buy another property at the time to relieve the pressure. Could she have realized that actually nothing has changed? She's replaced me, lost her kids more than half time, became a stepmom to 4 kids and actually babysits for him while he goes out in a night. I don't ask this because I want her back. I ask because if this isn't the case, why the sudden interest in her kids? Is it genuine? Or is it because, as she mentioned in her last email, she's hoping I'll either give up some of my custody or they'll choose to be with her so she can get some money out of me? My comment: you walked out better than most people. Although there were a few bumps along the way, but you're doing great. Keep walking forward and you're good.